Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Path to Play. It's Valentina,
And Rory.
and we're here today with a special guest on the pod. Today, we're going to talk to Miranda Bernal, my sister. She played soccer up until college, and we're excited to have her on today's episode to give her perspective and her experiences. Hey, Miranda, thanks for joining us on the pod.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
We're excited to have you as well, Miranda. Can you tell us a little bit about one of our memorable moments when we were playing together when we were younger, which was when we met Memo Ochoa on our Mexico City all boys team?
Yeah, I that was a memorable moment because we were, I think, only two girls on the team we were a part of at the time, and we were trying to kind of find our footing in the club soccer setting in Mexico City, and then they held this event at the fields we practiced on, where the keeper for the Mexican national team came. Memo Ochoa came to just do like a meet and greet with the club players, and he's a pretty popular and iconic figure for everybody in Mexico, everybody who follows soccer there, definitely. So um, that was pretty exciting. And we got his autograph and we got a picture with him. And yeah, that was pretty nice. And I think it was a great memory that we both got to share.
Yeah. If anyone doesn't know who that is, you should look him up. Okay, so we're going to get right into your story and your experiences today, Miranda. So, can you tell us
Mhm.
how your relationship with soccer shifted across rec, club, and high school?
Yeah, so I probably started playing soccer recreationally when I was probably like 6 years old or younger. I don't remember the exact age, but I was playing rec just for fun. And then I remember also doing ballet at the time. And I think we had a connection in the form of a coach at a local soccer club, a competitive soccer club, and they suggested maybe enrolling in this said soccer club. And so I ended up choosing to do that kind of more seriously and only that. Um, so that was probably when I was like 7 or 8, and that's kind of, I think, where training became more consistent and I started developing more as a soccer player. And I think it was still pretty fun for me. It was, I was still fairly young, so things weren't super serious. And I think I really enjoyed it, and I, liked the discipline and the how challenging things were, and I liked the structure and the routine, and also I liked playing as a team. I think it was a good sport for me. And then I kept playing. I started high school and also played high school soccer, although I didn't enjoy high school soccer as much. I'm not sure what everyone else's experience. I think other people might have had different experiences, but I felt like it wasn't I felt like it kind of detracted a bit from the work that you did in club. And, I think it's a fun thing to do, but it's not super serious. And I think balancing club and high school and academics became a bit of a challenge, as well as, everything that happens as you're a teenager and you're kind of growing up and you're kind of thinking about different things and preparing for the future. And so I think towards the end of my high school kind of soccer career, as I was also playing club at the time, I think was kind of where I started kind of burning out a little bit, and as just from soccer in general, I think it was just a lot, and it made me kind of feel, I think I felt maybe incorrectly that, I just didn't like the sport anymore. But, I think looking back, I could have been a little bit of burnout, and it's just trying to do too much at the same time, or maybe not organizing myself and so that I could do all of the things well. Yeah, so I think it just came down to just not doing too much, not doing one thing as well as I probably could have, and then not really, speaking up about it.
I think that that's usually when it gets really tough for a lot of people because if there's no support, no one really to talk to about it, or really if you don't know anyone that's done it before, I feel like it's a little bit of a dark tunnel that you're going through and it feels or it can feel a little bit overwhelming at times.
Yeah, and I feel like also it's important to have, like, good teammates, I guess. I'm not sure that I connected too well with my teammates in high school, and so that might have been why I didn't enjoy it as much. And so that I just kind of felt out of place there. I preferred club soccer, I think, and I kind of wished that that I would have focused more on that versus, like, trying to get involved in high school soccer. I think that could have been maybe combined with some more extra coaching, like mentorship type things like that could have probably helped progress into something, maybe leading up to like a spot on for college or something.
Yeah, I think I had a pretty similar experience with high school soccer, kind of where you've built up from a young kid and been playing club your whole life, and then you get to high school and it's just a bit more of a mess. It's really kind of lacking that organization, so it can be a little jarring switching from playing club for all those years to something so different. In this experience of playing from a young age and all the way through club, playing at a pretty high level, was there a certain point where you wanted to play in college? And then did you ever get to a point where you realized, okay, I probably don't want to do that anymore?
Um, I think I think I did. There was a good period of time where I was actively looking to play in college, and was going to ID camps, like traveling to go to ID camps, which was a great experience. It not that it really went anywhere. Like, I think it was a good thing for like exposure and like seeing kind of what level other players were at, and it was good to see that I wasn't like, skills wise everyone was pretty even, but like, I went to an ID camp at Carnegie Mellon, and honestly, I don't think I would have gotten into that school, just academics based, but it was cool to see and, meet other players from different states. I think that's always a good experience, and I think I wasn't as active on the side of reaching out to people. So I think I had the motivation, but I think that when I started to sort of burn out and that kind of started to taper and I lose steam essentially. And so then if you don't insert yourself in coaches kind of like view, you're not going to get anyone who's like recruiting you, I think was kind of how I see it. I think it's just a matter of like finding a good fit. And so I think I don't know if I found the right fit. And so I think that at the end of the day I was like, oh, okay, like this doesn't seem like it's going to pan out. So I'm just going to see if maybe I shouldn't do it was kind of I think my conclusion towards the end of high school. And it felt like, okay, it's kind of like I'm going to start college soon, so I don't know if there's enough time for that. And also, I
Mhm.
didn't want some of the schools that I know were taking people a bit more freely or last minute. Like, I wouldn't want to go to those schools for like other reasons, whether they were like maybe not the program, like academic programs that I was looking for. Um, yeah, or cost.
Yeah, that definitely makes a ton of sense. And I think that's something we've talked about earlier is not trying to force anything not trying to force a move to a college that you don't really want to go to, but you just are trying to go there because it's the best soccer option. There's so much more than that. So I'm sure if you had taken one of those spots where you didn't really want to go to the school or that academics weren't really what you were looking for, it probably wouldn't have played out as well in the long run.
Yeah. So I ended up kind of choosing like to prioritize academics versus like soccer since it didn't seem like I would find a good balance of both. But, I'm sure that it existed, but maybe it just, didn't pan out that way.
Yeah, totally. Looking back on that time of being in club and you're in high school, starting to go to some ID camps, what support do you think would have helped you get unstuck and be able to move forward and open more doors, helping you find the correct college to go to?
I think probably I think the club that I was in had great coaches, but I think that there was a bit of a gap when it came to somebody who mentored a bit more. Maybe even just like somebody who is more available to coach you on an individual level on what options are out there for you and an honest assessment of where you're at now, like what would be feasible for you in the soccer realm to achieve. And I think a big part of it is just the networking with coaches, getting you to talk to coaches, and then through that like getting you to ID camps. Because I think it's like my parents hadn't done that, so I think we were all doing it for the first time, and I wasn't sure who was a good expert on placing people on college teams. I think just the personalization of like coaching down to the skills level and being like, "Hey, like you're here and if you want to play at this level, at this division, at this school, even as specific as that, then this is what you have to work on skills wise, and this is who you have to talk to." Yeah. I think the thing I failed to do was pretty much just reaching out to coaches. I think that was where that was my biggest roadblock, I think.
I think that's super common and something I've definitely heard before. I know that there were people in Seattle when I was in high school where basically their whole job was pretty much to do exactly what you were just talking about, but they were always very exclusive and hard to get to, it seemed. Personally never worked with one. So I think that would be a great thing for a lot of clubs to add in and supplement with their coaching and everything.
Yeah, I think that would be super helpful. And, you can kind of shoot out emails, and I did do that, but I think it's a bit more intense than people make it out to be. Like unless you're a crack and get scouted at tournaments, you really have to do your own homework and talk to people.
Yeah, and I also feel like these are all things that no one really ever tells you about. It's sort of a situation where you either know or you don't, or at least that's what it even felt like for me. And unfortunately, you were the older sister, and so I feel like oftentimes that tends to be the trial period, in the family. So I think conversations like these that are open and transparent would honestly make all the difference when someone is the first to do something like this and the whole family is kind of lost and trying to figure it out as well. My next question is, what advice would you give parents who might be dealing with this kind of nuance or might not know which direction to go next or what kind of conversations to have with their athlete?
I think, like you said, I think open communication is obviously important. And I think it's obvious when an athlete's starting to lose a bit of the motivation or passion that they maybe once had for the sport. Like it's obvious if they're your kid, I think you can tell when they seem less interested. And I think that you can probably just ask if it is where it's coming from.
I agree with that. I think it's a conversation around figuring out why your athlete might be doing the sport still, maybe why they even started playing the sport in the first place, and just thinking about whether it's still intentional or perhaps the athlete's just going through the motions. I think it's just all about creating the safe space to tell your circle, your support circle, that you don't want to play the sport in college, or perhaps if you want to try a different direction with a different sport, just things like that, that I think are all about the open communication and just figuring out the reasons why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I think making it clear that it's not a requirement is good. I think just pushing them a little bit would help because I think there's a lot of distractions in high school and during that time of life in general. And I think that it's easy for kids to think that, oh, this isn't my passion. I think there's a lot of things that can sidetrack. I mean, at least for me, there are a lot of things that I think I could have been more focused on. But I think you just don't understand that it's easy to not take it as seriously. But I think from what I've seen and talked to people about, I think playing any sport in college would be I don't think it would be a bad thing. I think the discipline part of it is something that could be very beneficial for anyone. And I think just that gentle push and motivating your athlete to continue on the path and I think talking to people, I think I would encourage them to talk to people, whether that's coaches, alumni of whatever club they're in, talk to them about what their path was and where they ended up, what they had to do, like step by step what they did to place on a team. I think that is would probably be really good. Even helping them project plan, like I think, like I said, they're still kids. So I think, and they're busy usually with school and stuff. So I think if possible, if time allows, I think even helping them a little bit more with, connecting them to people, seeing who they can reach out to.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, and I'm not gonna speak for Rory, but at least for myself, I was definitely all over the place in high school, and there were always a lot of distractions. So, can you share with us, as we're wrapping this up, what lessons you've taken from soccer throughout the rest of your life outside of soccer?
hmm I think for sure self discipline. I do think it was one of the most important things that I got out of playing a competitive sport. Self discipline, I guess, in the context of like having an impact on the team and I think even just down to the commitment aspect. So you're on a competitive soccer team, you have to be there at least 3 days a week for an hour and a half, plus like whatever fitness training you have to do, plus whatever games. And so um I think it's important to follow through with what you say you're gonna do. So and definitely in that context and on a soccer team, you can't just ditch or like bail on the team last minute. Like if you said you're gonna be there, you have to be there. And I think that's important just in general. I definitely think it helped me practice that and just have it as like a core value almost.
That's a really good takeaway, and I'm sure there are a lot more that you carry with you that you might not even realize, and I'm sure also that you now enjoy soccer recreationally in Seattle, and it's a lot more fun without all the pressure, of course, and just going back to why you started doing it in the first place.
Yeah, it is very fun to I mean, yeah, it's very fun to play rec after college. I would highly encourage it.
Thank you for sharing your story, Miranda. We really appreciate it, and I know our listeners are gonna love it as well.
Yes, it was very fun and also a little bit hard not to laugh to have my sister on the podcast, but we really appreciate you.
Thank you, Rory. Thank you, Val.
Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
See you all next week.